from Bumstead Bicycles, and today I wanted to take a few minutes to show you how to change a flat tire. First, I'd like to start with the tools you're going to need. We're not removing the wheel today, we are just going to change the flat tire. So tools for that, you're going to want to have either a patch kit to repair the hole in your tube or a new tube, then a way to get the tire off of the rim. So I'm going to bring our rim up here. Go. So the first thing would be tire levers. And there's multiple different types, brands, styles. Here in the shop, the most common ones I use are made out of metal, look like this. My favorite in general. The ones that are plastic like this or nylon, the advantage to those work well, especially carbon rims, maybe a rim that's got some color or anodizing or paint. You're worried that these might scratch. You can go that. And then the big boys like this. If you're working on, again, I'm going to bring out another tire. Some of the big fat tires, sometimes on a scooter, some bigger heavy duty tires. We've found that the small stuff like this, you just don't have enough leverage. The bigger tire lever will work. And then a way to air it up. Here in the shop, obviously air compressor, but we always highly recommend, if you own a bike, to have a floor pump. And we recommend a floor pump with a gauge. You need to know how much air pressure is going into your tire. Okay, so there's the tools. We got a couple wheels. Now it's how to do it. So again, I'm going to grab my favorite. Tire's already flat. That's kind of part of why we're doing this. If for some reason it does have air in it or a little bit of air left, it always helps to remove what's left of the air. And again, I use the tire lever and away we go. And then on the tire levers, it's rounded and smooth, and it does have somewhat of a direction to it. So when taking the tire off, I'm going to want to pry the tire off. So we will get one started. Also for the camera, there's a hook here. That is so that you can hook, let's do it like this, hook the spoke, the lever to a spoke, so then your hand's free to go to the next lever. And usually you'll go over about 2 to 4 inches depending on tire, and then carefully pry the tire. A lot of times on a tire that's loose, as you get further down, you can actually just slide this all the way around. And again, set the tire levers to the side, tire's nice loose. Now you can access the inner tube. Remove the inner tube. And once the tube is out, some people will remove the tire also. I like to leave the tire on, and I'll show you in a second. So once you get the inner tube out, most important thing, you need to know, why did I get a flat tire? Why is it flat? Sometimes it's really obvious. You've pulled a staple, a nail, something out of it. A lot of times not so obvious. So you want to air up the inner tube. And then a lot of people will put it in a bucket of water or something. A lot of times you can just hold it close to your face and slowly go around. Find the spot where the air is leaking. Again, sometimes it's really apparent. You will hear it immediately. You don't have to check. You'll immediately find it. Why I leave the tire on. Now, wherever you find that hole in relation to the valve, it's going to be one of 2 spots. Let's say it's right here. It could have been here on the tire, here on the tire. Check those spots. See if whatever it was that punctured that inner tube might still be in the tire. Very important that you get whatever it was that punctured that inner tube. You need to get that hole out. Again, here in the shop, we will take our hand and carefully run our fingers through the bottom. Haven't cut my fingers yet, been doing this a long time, but because you're lightly running your hand there, you're just feeling for something sharp. You're not pushing hard. and lightly feel the whole inside. Inspect the whole outside of the tire, again, looking for anything that might still be inside the tire. So then once you've cleared the tire, made sure everything's good, there's no cuts, nothing that would damage an inner tube, you take your new inner tube, and then here's the secret. When you take an inner tube out of the box or out of its packaging, it's very flat. That is not easy then to mount back up inside the tire. So put a little bit of air in it. That one's a new tube, so I'm just gonna put just enough air in it. Get this ready. So you want to put just enough air so that it's round. This is much easier than to install into the tire. So again, starting at the valve, push the inner tube into the tire, and again, work the valve into the rim. Here's another secret. Don't yank this. A lot of people, they get that in there and they want to yank that tube all the way down into the rim. Leave it so there's some space there. You want that inner tube up inside the tire, not forced all the way into the rim. Then tuck the inner tube all the way around. Again, this one has too much air. A little bit more, tuck it in. And now go around, and if the tube is bulging anywhere out, tuck it up inside the tire. You want the tire laying flat all along the rim before you get started on the next part. Now again, on a fairly loose tire, I start at the valve and I just start with my thumbs working the tire down into the rim. A lot of times you'll get to the last third or so. Again, this tire I can easily just pop it on. A lot of tires though, you will need to use your tire lever again to force it the rest of the way on. And again, this is slightly curved and rounded. You want that curved section up against the rim. You want to go from wherever it's in, about an inch in, slide this under and carefully pry the tire over. And again, just an inch and pry. An inch and pry till it goes in. Be real careful not to dig this down in and maybe catch the inner tube and pinch the inner tube. Once that's on, get your air. And to start a little bit slow, again with an air pump it's going to go a little slower, but don't immediately go all the way full pressure. Check the tire on both sides. Make sure that it's centered on the rim, that it's not bulging anywhere. Work it around if you have to, tuck the tire in, and then carefully, a little more air, a little more air. Then a lot of times also, before I fully air it up, I will spin the tire and again, eyeball it, make sure that it's not bulging in anywhere before I take it up to full pressure. So there's that. Just a little side note, a lot of people are using really fat tire bikes now. Works basically the same way. I have had some of these again where we'll use the bigger tire levers just because, again, it's a much tighter fit. So again, prying these levers on here, you can see with these big levers you can get in there. And again, if you're having trouble, go a little closer to where it sticks out versus going 2 or 3 inches. It might only be an inch. And again, work your way around. And once it becomes fairly loose, you can just spin the lever around. And the rest is identical, whether it's a fat tire or traditional size. Only thing I've found on the fat tires is that sometimes they're a little more difficult. You're working with a much bigger tire and tube. Just takes a little more time, but the process is identical for either one. Well, that's that. We've fixed the flat tire. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And now you are ready to roll.